Welcome back to Chapter 3 of Real Estate Investing 101, your first rental property. In this episode, titled Financing Options, How to Actually Pay for Property, we're going to explore the various ways you can fund your investment journey. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, understanding your financing options is key to making smart decisions in real estate. So, let's dive in. A bank will often lend you hundreds of thousands for a rental, if you know how to ask, and almost nothing if you don't. You find a solid property, the payment would be less than the rent, and still the lender says no. In this episode, we'll unpack why that happens and how to flip it. You now know that how you ask shapes a lender's answer. Next, you need to choose who you're asking and on what terms. A $250,000 rental can demand $50,000 down with a 30-year fixed loan, or just $8,750 down with FHA 203K if you're willing to live there first and manage a rehab. Those two choices can mean the difference between needing partners and doing the deal solo. We'll walk through the main financing lanes: conventional 20 to 25% down loans, low down payment house hacks, DSCR loans that care more about the property's income than your W-2, and fully alternative paths like seller financing, private lenders, and crowdfunding. You'll see how tweaks in interest rate, loan term, and loan-to-value can turn a deal from negative $150 a month to positive $250 a month, and how big players structure billions using the same principles you'll apply on your first property. Once you see the menu of loan types, the next step is matching them to real deals. A $300,000 duplex at 7% with 25% down, 30-year amortization, and taxes and insurance at $450 a month will cost you roughly $2,150 a month all-in debt service. If realistic rents total $2,600 and expenses run 35%, your DSCR hovers just above 1.2, barely inside many lenders' comfort zone. Change only the rate to 6% or extend to 35 years, and you can add $150 to $250 in monthly cash flow. The same math helps you weigh a 12% private note versus a 9% DSCR loan on a $180,000 single family. Most new investors only compare interest rates. Serious operators compare structures. Two loans at 7% can produce totally different cash flow, risk, and scalability depending on amortization, LTV, and covenants. Start by treating each financing option as a tool for a specific job. Suppose you're eyeing a $220,000 rental that you believe can rent for $2,050 a month with operating expenses, taxes, insurance, maintenance, management, reserves at 38% of rent. That gives you gross rent $2,050, operating expenses 38%, about $780, net operating income NOI about $1,270 a month or $15,240 a year. Now test different capital stacks. Case 1. 75% loan at 7% interest, 30-year amortization. Loan amount, $165,000. Monthly principal plus interest, $1,097. DSCR, $15,240 divided by 1,097 times 12, approximately 1.16. Under many lenders, 1.2 requirement. Cash flow before capital expenditures, $1,270 minus $1,097, approximately $173 a month. Case 2. Same 75% loan, but 40-year amortization at 7.25%, common on some investor products. Monthly principal plus interest, $1,070. DSCR, $15,240 divided by 1,070 times 12, approximately 1.18. Still tight, but better. Cash flow, $200 a month but more interest over the life of the loan. Case 3. 80% LTV at 7.5%, 40 years. Loan amount, $176,000. Payment, $1,150. DSCR, $15,240 divided by 1,150 times 12, approximately 1.10. Many lenders will balk. Cash flow, $120 a month, yet you invested less cash down, so cash on cash might improve. Next, layer in a small second lien. Say you pair a 70% first mortgage with a 10% seller carryback at 4% interest only for 5 years. First loan, $154,000 at 7%, 30 years. $1,025 a month. Second loan, $22,000 at 4%, interest only, $73 a month. Total debt service, $1,098. DSCR, approximately 1.16, similar to Case 1, but with 20% down instead of 25 to 30%. The point isn't that one structure is best, but that tiny shifts in rate, LTV, and amortization move 3 levers at once. 1. Minimum cash you must bring. 2. Monthly cash flow and DSCR. 3. Long-term interest cost and risk if rents soften. Institutional players do nothing magical. Invitation Homes selling over $14 billion in rental-backed securities and sponsors raising $2.8 billion via crowdfunding platforms are just building large-scale versions of these same trade-offs, prioritizing different levers depending on their strategy and investors' expectations.
Your challenge this week. Pick one target property type, for example, a $250,000 starter home or a $350,000 small multifamily, and run 3 distinct capital stack scenarios on it. For each, write down total cash required, monthly payment, projected cash flow, DSCR, and your personal sleep-at-night score from 1 to 10. By the end, you'll see which structures truly match your risk tolerance and growth goals before you ever send a loan application. Think of your financing choice the way a surgeon thinks about anesthesia. You want just enough to do the job safely without creating long-term complications. Take a $300,000 triplex that needs $20,000 in upgrades and will rent for $3,600 a month when stabilized. One path: bring $90,000, 30% down, borrow $210,000 at 7% for 30 years, and fund rehab from savings. Your payment is about $1,396 a month. If expenses run 40% of rent, $1,440, you're left with roughly $764 before debt service and about negative $632 a month until you finish the rehab and raise rents. Alternate path: negotiate a $30,000 seller second at 3% interest only for 5 years and use that created capital as rehab money. Now the bank loan is $210,000, seller note is $30,000, $75 a month, and you keep $20,000 in reserves. Post-rehab, if you raise total rent to $4,050 and keep expenses at 40%, you've got $2,430 NOI. Subtract $1,471 for combined debt, and you're around $959 a month positive, plus a cushion for surprises. Tokenized financing could let you buy 0.5% of a $400,000 rental, $2,000, then trade your slice like a stock, with your share of $1,200 a month net income paid out programmatically. Lenders are already testing climate scores where a coastal duplex might require 30% down and a 7.9% rate, while the same duplex inland gets 20% down at 6.9%. Your challenge this week: stress test one deal assuming insurance plus taxes rise 25%
and your rate is 1% higher. Does the financing still work? Now zoom out. Financing is just one variable in your deal formula. Add two more constraints: minimum $200 a month per door cash flow and at least 8% cash on cash, and watch how many good deals vanish. That's useful. Tight criteria force discipline. The investors who last 20+ years are the ones who learn to say no far more than they say yes. To go deeper, here are 3 next steps. 1. Run the numbers on at least 2 financing routes. For example, 20% down conventional versus 5% down house hack loan, using BiggerPockets Investment Property Calculator or Mashvisor, and save the comparison as a PDF. 2. Pull your full credit reports from annualcreditreport.com and, using the financing chapter of the book on rental property investing, Brandon Turner, make a quick checklist of what you'd need to qualify for a conventional loan versus an FHA/owner-occupant loan. 3. Go to Lendio or locallenderfinder.com or your local real estate investors Facebook group and book 2 to 3 intro calls this week with a mortgage broker, a local credit union, and a hard money lender to ask specifically about terms for BRRRR, house hacking, and small multifamily deals.
This was Owl Up, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow.